What is going on, everyone? Is it Monday? It's Monday, right? Whatever night it is, whatever day that it is. Good evening, or maybe for some of you, like those that are living in Norway, it's like late into the evening, almost early morning. Cheers. So if you're drinking an adult beverage, put it in the comments down below what you are up to, what you're drinking. I'm drinking a Negroni with a nice little orange peel down at the bottom. You can see it right there. So cheers, hope the evening and hope the holidays are going well. Hello from London, England. Awesome. So thank you. I just want to start off the video by saying thank you. I don't have an agenda. Well, I have some things that I want to talk about, I think, but first I want to say thank you for those that have been along with me in this journey over the last year of covering electric vehicles. A lot about Tesla, some about some other new companies, some about some very established companies. And I'm excited to sort of recap some of my personal highlights, some highlights and lowlights of the year of the electric vehicle industry. And I really hope that you all enjoy some of the stuff that drinking water, nice. Yeah, can't go wrong with water. In fact, I've got some water right here in case things get out of control. They won't. I'm feeling good. Not too good though. So I want to recap some things that that I covered on the channel, and I'm just going to start with January 2019. Go through some of the videos, and I think that'll be a good prompt for some things for us to talk about. If you've got some questions, I'll try and pay attention to them. Usually, if I'm stopping to address questions while I'm covering things, it interrupts my train of thought. So, but if I catch something that pops up in between statements, I'll try and address it. Otherwise, put your comment in, and I'll try and get through all the questions by the end. So, January 2019 started off a little bit bumpy for Tesla. If you remember, there I remember it in my head because there were a lot of people that were talking about Tesla service. This is one of the things, one of my first videos of 2019 in January, and I published this video titled, "Dear Elon, you have a customer service problem." If you recall, about a year ago, they were delivering a lot of Model 3s. They were trying to ramp this up and deliver a ton of them by the end of 2018. And it really created this issue with service. The cars that were rolling off the production line maybe weren't as good as they are right now. And so that rolled into not so great of an experience for owners. Owners had a hard time getting in touch with employees at Tesla, both on the sales and the service side. Their resources were just overwhelmed by the number of cars that they were delivering. And as I said before, the quality of the vehicles that were rolling off the line weren't as good as they are right now. And it got so bad that people were reaching out to me online. People were sending people my way who were having trouble getting in touch with Tesla, and so I was trying to help them and work some of my back channels to make sure that they were taken care of. Meanwhile, I was also dealing with people, a part of the Denver Tesla Club, who were looking to take delivery of their cars, and it was also impacting existing customers who were trying to get into service and having a hard time getting in touch with people. And so this prompted me to create this video and talk about how Tesla's biggest asset is their customers and their ability to share and talk about their positive experience with owning a Tesla. But in many ways, I was seeing personally that reputation was being tarnished a little bit by the experience of these new owners coming in. So I even went so far as to add some questions on say.com. So I think this may have been the first quarter that Tesla took say.com questions, and one of them was specifically about customer service. And this is if you remember, this is where Elon actually addressed this in the opening remarks, where he said that this is going to be a personal focus of his to to improve the customer experience. And because of that question, we are now seeing some of the fruits of them addressing this. And things like roadside assistance in the app, things like scheduling a service appointment inside of the app. My phone, I'm recording with the phone, but those are things that I think exist because of what Elon addressed in his opening remarks for, I guess it was Q4 earnings call in January of 2019. So it's really neat to look back on that in almost 12 months, to see how Tesla has tried to address these challenges. And it appears like they've tried to address them with software. And in my opinion, that doesn't always address everything, but it seems like the implementation of some of these features inside of the app have reduced a lot of the friction of getting an appointment scheduled. Again, as I said, it doesn't address everything, but I think that they have made some positive improvements. And on the early stage, I think a lot of issues have been solved by just producing better built cars, better quality cars, and continuing to iterate on the vehicles. It doesn't mean that they're issue free, but I don't hear nearly as many people reaching out to me saying that they've got issues or saying that they're having a hard time getting in touch with someone. So that was one of the first videos of the year. And then if you remember, in later on in the month of January, they did away with the 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, which seems so long ago that they did this, that they did away with that 75. And so they ultimately brought it back, I think, because, well, yeah, I think they did actually bring it back for a little while, because they did offer a Model S that was a standard range. Now they only offer a long range, but if my memory serves me correct, they did sort of reintroduce the 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, just renamed a different way. But that was at the end of January that they did away with that to, I think, spur on some sales. They also did away with the referral program for a little while, which in hindsight, they ended up bringing it back, and just in a little bit different form. It's not a what time we linking. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So yeah, they did away with the referral program for a little while, and then they ended up bringing it back. Nissan announced a Leaf E Plus. It looks like they are calling it, with a 226-mile range that was up from 150-ish. If there's anyone on here that owns an older school Leaf, put the range in the comments, or if there's anyone that can look it up really fast. And then I'm just going through some of these. And then in February, I think it was February, I drove to Aspen, where Rivian was at, and I had a chance to sit down one-on-one with RJ Scaringe, the CEO of Rivian, in a gondola going up the side of a mountain. It was just picturesque, and I wish that I could take credit for the idea of interviewing him in a gondola, but that was to the credit of one of the Rivian employees, Larry. Shout out to Larry for that idea. It was brilliant, and it was great to get to know. Over the last year, I've gotten to know Rivian really well, and I really appreciate the opportunity to follow Rivian's journey. And they're getting pretty close to production. Probably within the next 6 to 8 months, they're going to go into production with their higher priced vehicles. But that interview was super cool, and I've had a chance to talk with him on a couple of occasions now, and I just think that he's a stand-up guy. All right, so let's move on. Yes, oh my gosh, Tesla the news breaks that Tesla makes a bid to acquire Maxwell Technologies. That that has been a huge effort on my part to try and understand the benefit of that. That's why you've heard me talk a lot about Maxwell this year, the implications of it, trying to understand what the DBE, dry battery electrode technology, is, trying to understand the benefits of that from the production process and how that impacts cost reduction. And but it's been quite amazing to follow this journey. And ultimately, I think the deal closed in May, but the news broke in maybe late January, early February, if I remember correctly. And we really have not yet seen the full reveal of how Tesla's going to implement Maxwell, but I think it's going to be huge. I think next quarter is going to be really, really exciting as some of their product reveals. Maybe even as big, maybe not as sexy as the Cybertruck, but certainly I think has as big of implications. Thank you so much for the super chat. Interview with Ravi was epic. Wins part 2. That's actually coming in like a week. Assuming I haven't messed up my schedule or confused my schedule. I've got a lot that's going on in my personal life. But I should be able to make that happen. So we've got it on the calendar. Let me see if actually I can pull up that. Part 2 is on the calendar. Let me fast forward. It is. Did I not put that on my calendar? It's I think the first week of January. So first full week. So I think it's going to be next week. I need to start promoting that. So more details to come on that one, but part 2 is coming. We've got it in the calendar. We're going to talk about. Maybe I can tease that a little bit. Actually, let me pull up the our email conversation here, and I'll tease that a little bit. It's been a little while since I've looked at it, but Ravi is preparing some presentation slides. You're really going to want to tune in. I think it's going to be really great. We're going to dive into some of the hot new topics, some of the things that you all want to know about. Let's see if I can look up this email here. Is this it? Sorry, without like too much dead time here. I'm trying to find this. Part 2. Okay. So we agreed on. All right, so we're going to talk about unraveling some of the mysteries around 2170 and 18650 cells, cooling system of batteries, comparison between Tesla, Audi, Chevy, and others, going in depth about prismatic versus cylindrical cells, studies done using Maxwell tech so far. Ooh, interesting, and the implications of NMC 622 and NMC 811. Are they on par with NCA or better? Roles of suppliers, Gigafactory versus other suppliers in EV manufacturing. So we should cover some really cool things. If you want to dive deep into cell chemistry, that's going to be one that you don't want to miss. Okay, so hopefully I didn't mess this up here. Anyways, I'll get back to you on the date because I think I needed to move this to a later date, but I'm not finding when I moved it to. Anyways, so let's get back to recapping here. All right, where are my vids? Cool. Yeah, so interviewed RJ, that was really fun. Covered the Maxwell acquisition when that broke. Did my first review of the Audi e-tron. Didn't drive it, but did an interior and exterior walk around. Talked about my first impressions of it. That was back in February, I think. Again, The $35,000 Model 3. You guys remember that one? They like made it an. It was there was just Q1 of this year. There was just a lot of odd stuff going on with Tesla. They let go of some people. They said that they were going to go online. Thank you, We Back Tesla. Shout out to you, Colorado Springs resident. So a lot of really odd stuff was going on. You know, they said that they were going to close down the retail stores, and they introduced the $35,000 Model 3, and then they would, you know, they did away with it. A lot of just really odd things. March was the Model Y event, and this is one that I had originally planned on flying to, and then Denver got a snowstorm that caused my flight to be canceled. And I couldn't find another flight out that was reasonable enough for me to pay for. And so what I ended up doing was, this is like at 9 o'clock at night. I decided I was going to drive to LA, which was quite insane because I think I maybe didn't sleep well the night before. It was up really early, and then you know, around 9:30 I decided that I was going to drive west and attend this event. And the drive was interesting, of course. Was really tired, sort of slept while I supercharged, but eventually got there about an hour and a half before the event started. Got all cleaned up at the hotel, went to the event, and yeah, saw the Model Y in person. So I'm really excited about this. In fact, I've mentioned this a few times, but I think this is likely the next Tesla that I buy. So I'm hoping to do that sometime next year, if all goes well, and I think I will end up buying the Model Y. So Polestar 2, that's another one that was sort of shown off in presentation form by Polestar, their first fully electric car. I'm actually quite excited about this. I'm not optimistic necessarily about the range. This is going to compete directly with the Model 3, and I'm not necessarily optimistic about the range, but the total package of it, I'm really excited about. What else do we have here? When was this? This was so I sat down with Robert Bollinger. This is probably in April. This must have been in April. I sat down with Robert Bollinger at his facilities and talked about the truck. At the time, they hadn't shown it off at all. They hadn't talked about pricing. Of course, now we know that it's $125,000 vehicle. But I really like the team, and I think that there's a lot of love going into the product. It's not going to be for everyone, of course. The price point dictates that, but you know, the fact that it's being hand built and that it's got some really great off-road capabilities, I think is really exciting. I attended the Nikola Motors, not to be confused with Tesla Motors or Nikola Tesla, but Nikola Motors is this company that's based out of Arizona that's primarily focusing on hydrogen semi-trucks, and they're supposed to be doing electric versions of these, but they haven't really talked too much about that. It seems like they're really focused on the hydrogen portion. Tesla did their autonomy day, which I didn't go to, but I can't wait to see 2020 videos from you. Thank you so much. It's just super cool to see so many people follow my content, and very flattering. I put a lot of time and effort into into this stuff, more than I probably should, but you know, the reality is that there has become this strange cross-pollination between, this is just a side note, the strange cross-pollination between the time that I spend on electric vehicles, mostly electric vehicles, and then solar and home battery storage, and my real estate business, which is my full daytime job, the thing that pays the bills. The YouTube thing is it's not much. So you know, the real estate thing is definitely the thing that I would consider my career, but the cross pollination is starting to come full circle in that, you know, if you have an electric car, you need to understand some of the nuances in buying a house. As well, if you own an electric car and you have a house, you need to understand how to market that when you go to sell it again. Same thing for, like, if you have an electric car, you're probably at some point thinking about solar, and that as well crosses over with the real estate piece, and that's something that I understand relatively well. So and then home battery storage, of course, is another component to that crosses over with my real estate efforts. But so Autonomy Day, I think that was in April, and then Tesla makes their Raven update. Tesla does their Raven update in early May, late April, early May. Increases the range, adds a third motor to the vehicles. I think that's what they're talking about in this video. I'm just going off of memory. I'm looking at the thumbnails and the titles of these things. So yeah, increased range, more efficiency. I believe this is also the improved suspension as well. Tesla raises $2.7 billion. And let's see here. And then I start really digging into the Maxwell thing and thinking Tesla may be on the road to doing away with Panasonic after great work, Sean. New Tesla for you this year. Yeah, I think so. Hopefully in 2020, hopefully a Model Y. I really like it. I like the capabilities of it. If I can get a 300-mile Model Y, get the improved ground clearance. Maybe it's me getting older, but I just don't enjoy sitting down into the Model S these days. It just seems like such a far distance from where I stand to where I have to sit. Same thing for when I sit into a Model 3 as well. So hopefully a Model Y, if all goes well. I am an independent business owner, and so things are very, very fluid for me, and I'm always having to prioritize the most important things. So hopefully sometime next year I can prioritize getting into a new Tesla. All right. So yeah, so I start getting into the Maxwell thing. I start floating the idea of the end of the Tesla Panasonic partnership. It looks like, as of the news that broke today from the Financial Times, drinking a Negroni, one third gin, 1/3 sweet vermouth, and 1/3 Campari, and then an orange peel in it. So obviously today it looks like Panasonic is still remaining a partner of Tesla, because it just broke that they're increasing their production from about 35 gigawatt hours to 54 gigawatt hours, which is pretty substantial. So I'll be very curious to see how Tesla rides that line of keeping these partners, these battery suppliers, plus it seems like getting into their own thing. Let's see here. VW i3, that they did that presentation where they showed off the vehicle for the first time. From the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be a very impressive car. Not for the North American market. It looks like they're going to be focusing on Europe and China initially. Maybe if it goes so well, they might introduce it in the North American market. I really do hope so, because it seems like a nice car. And I think that it very, very likely will sell quite well. What else? May also brought the 2-hour interview with Ravi Kampaya. He's a PhD scholar in battery technology, battery chemistry, and he's a very smart guy and a very kind human being, most importantly. So I did as well, in June, I did a review of the Model X Raven. I didn't drive it, but I had there was an owner in town who picked one up, and who also still had his older version Model X. So we did sort of like this, side-by-side comparison. I really wanted to know about whether the ride comfort and cabin noise was improved. Obviously, it was. So Tesla shareholder meeting, that was quite an interesting one. One of the biggest takeaways for me from that shareholder meeting was Elon, JB Straubel, and Drew Baglino. I think I got it right this time, finally, for the first time. Really started dropping some serious hints about controlling their own destiny with battery supply and how they needed to match demand for their vehicles with battery supply, or rather the other way around, how they needed to match battery supply to their demand of upcoming vehicles. News also broke about Tesla getting into the insurance business. Gally and I took a trip to Detroit to tour Rivian's headquarters, got to talk a lot of that. I think we shared maybe some stuff, but a lot of the stuff we couldn't really talk about. But we got to talk with their VP of design, I believe, about their vehicles. We got to sit in them. We get to see some of the cool stuff that they're working on, so that was really great. And then we also attended Sandy Munro's one-day EV battery or EV conference that they put on at his office. And that was quite insightful. In fact, I'll kind of tease some things out here for those that are in this 26 minutes in. I've got a 30-minute speaking session at the Fully Charged live event in Austin, Texas, February 1st and 2nd. And I'm going to take a lot of the stuff that I learned from Sandy Munro, a lot of the research that they've done when they broke down these electric vehicles, and I'm going to talk about Tesla and the Tesla Killer Graveyard. I think that's this. The title is going to be something like that: Tesla and the Tesla Killer Graveyard. I want to share about how everyone has been not so much these days, but everyone was talking about how there were these Tesla killers coming. And to date, there hasn't been one that has been able to compete with what Tesla's putting out. So I want to go into some of the details about why Tesla is so good at what they do, and why it's so difficult for other automakers to produce vehicles that are competitive. So anyway, so yeah, attended that one-day conference. Really insightful. That was sort of the beginning of my friendship with Sandy Munro, which ultimately ended up turning into a couple of interviews this year, which I'll get to in just a moment. August, I traveled to Nova Scotia, Halifax, Nova Scotia, to support my friend Ravi, who I just mentioned earlier. He was doing a couple of Guinness Book of World Record attempts, which he accomplished. And because it was being held in Halifax, I got an opportunity to do a short interview at that, about a 15.5-minute interview with Jeff Don, who is the lead researcher for Tesla. And he was a really, really interesting guy. I could tell right off the bat that he's really not, he's a really humble guy. He loves what he does. He loves the research part of things. And he just wants to research batteries and battery tech. And he really believes in what he does. And he's not interested in the limelight. He doesn't feel like he needs it. And so, I got a chance to talk with him on camera for 15.5 minutes. And also off camera too, which was really insightful. And he was very generous with his time and some of the information that he shared. What else? August also, I sat down with one of my real estate clients who I helped purchase their house about a year ago, about 12 months ago. He put solar on his house earlier this year. And so this is the video, if some of you remember, we were both sitting on his roof, and many of you made comment about how uncomfortable he looked. as he was sitting on the roof. And after we got done with the interview, he waited till after the interview to tell me that he was sort of semi-afraid of heights. And so you could tell in the video that he was a little bit uncomfortable, but I didn't realize why until after the fact. But he bought Tesla Solar, and he's got a Model S as well, and I helped him buy his house about 12 months ago. So it's really cool to see some of these clients, who own electric vehicles, put solar on their house to power their vehicles with sunshine. This I'm pretty sure this was in August as well. The first interview with Sandy Monroe and one of his team members, Mark Ellis. And that was really, really cool. If you haven't watched that one, I highly recommend it. It's an hour long. It's really insightful. I'm sorry about the audio. A lot of people commented on that. I had my mic there, but I just didn't plug it into the audio jack far enough. So the audio kind of blows, but hopefully you can look past that because the content is just quite stellar. September, I had like the Audi e-tron for 5 days. One of the local dealerships here in town let me take it for 4 or 5 days. So I did like like daily driving, doing my real estate stuff, and then I also did a mountain drive. I took it from Denver to Breckenridge and back. I used the Electrify America charging station on the west side of Denver, and I also did a range test as well, which I never published that video. I'm so disappointed in myself that I never published the range video. But I literally I drove it east. I drove it east and drove it back, and I got like 200 miles out of the vehicle. I think it was more like 201 miles out of the 200 and what is it? 200 and is it 205? 209? I can't remember. The Audi e-tron range for EPA range. Put it in the comments if you can look it up. But anyway, so I did a range test on that, but I never published it. In haste, I deleted the content. I wanted to do a recap video of the range. I'm gonna move this forward a little bit because I feel like I'm like leaning forward too much. Okay, hopefully I don't make the camera fall. So Audi e-tron, I did the Audi e-tron review. That was super fun. I really liked it a lot. And then I flew to Niagara Falls, Canada. Was there for the launch event, and for the Porsche Taycan. Sorry, was there for the Porsche Taycan event in Niagara Falls, Canada. Got to see the car in person. Was there with a bunch of other media. Was there on behalf of Teslarati. They extended an invite to me. I wanted to go to the event on their behalf and cover the event and take some photos and get some video footage. So I have seen this car in person. I've been in it. I've been around it. As I'll mention here in just a moment, I've even interviewed the CEO. And I really love the car. I think the car is a beautiful looking car. As I've mentioned in a previous video, the range was a big letdown. So so later on that month in September, Rivian or the news broke that Amazon was buying some of their transit vehicles, which I think is pretty cool. I do think it's interesting that Rivian is getting all of this press, yet they haven't produced a single vehicle. They've raised, just in 2019 alone, they've raised over $2 billion. But obviously, if Amazon is investing billions of dollars into the company and buying vehicles, they must see something in their technology, even though they haven't started producing it yet. So that does give me quite a bit of hope. And of course, I know the team there, and I'm quite optimistic about the technology. On the interview that I did with Third Row podcast that just broke, I think, just went live on Monday. I think yesterday. Is today Monday? It was Sunday then. Sorry, I'm so out of rhythm here with the holidays. But they asked me if I couldn't buy a Tesla, what would be the next best thing? And I said, Rivian. Based on what I know and my conversations with the employees there, I probably would choose a Rivian. And then September was also the Bollinger launch event. That was at the end, I think, of September. I flew to Detroit and interview this. So I'll try and get through some of these a little bit quickly here. So I did interview the Porsche CEO. That one was a very short one, 4.5 minutes or so. Cool guy, very nice guy, super humble, complimentary of Tesla, which I really, really liked a lot. Tesla announces Gigafactory, which I think is super cool. I'm really glad that they're doing something in Europe. I crossed over 200,000 miles in my Model S. That was really fun. Ford did their Mach-E launch event, which was really cool. And then the LA Auto Show happened. I was there. I was covering it. I got quite a bit of footage. I had published a Mach-E video from that event, but I also have some footage of some of the other electric vehicles, like the Mercedes EQC. I've got some e-tron Sportback footage. I've got some other stuff too that's slipping my mind, but I don't know. I don't know if people want to hear about that. It's not comprehensive footage, but I did get footage of the exterior and the interior. Cybertruck. Whoa. Cybertruck was insane. I've already talked about it ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into detail, but Cybertruck was insane. You might be wondering, have I warmed up to it? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. It's still pretty wild. I wouldn't personally buy it. And then we're coming to the end here. So then the EPA range for the Taycan came out, 201 miles, kind of wild and crazy, quite a bit disappointed. Interviewed Matt Farrell this month, actually. Interviewed Matt Farrell from Undecided. Super cool guy. Got to meet him in person for the first time. And then second interview with Sandy Monroe. Love that guy. The more I chat with him, the more I like him a lot. He's just a really, really cool guy. Okay, so I've covered all the videos that I think are important. Just in summary before I start answering people's questions. 2019, I think I grew like 25,000 subscribers, which is really, really special. Thank you for that, and it means a lot. And I'm excited about 2020. Maybe I can tease out a couple of things that I've got in the plans. I think I've mentioned this. No, I haven't mentioned this publicly. I don't think so, at least. I've got some plans to do some field trips. I really like the field trip. I like going on site to places and really like digging in deep, whether that's an interview with someone. But one of the things that I actually just had a phone call about today is trying to unpack the mining industry. I just, maybe I'm totally off and totally wrong about Tesla going into the mining business, although Elon said that it's possible that they might, so that probably means that they are. But I really want to understand, mining of metals, raw material metals. I think there's some interesting things there. So some field trips are planned for very, very soon. I want to go on site to some places. I want to travel internationally and get some just really unique coverage, some stuff that no one else is willing to do. Anyway, so look for that. I think it's yeah, there are some Dave, there are some gold mines. Of course, you probably know this, but there are some gold mines in the mountains. They do also, I guess, not so much mining, but they're digging up rock and crushing it and making sand and stuff like that. So okay, so questions. What do you want to know? Thoughts on the EQC? I don't think it's going to be that efficient. I mean, you look at it, and I think what they tried to do is they tried to make it so that it was similar to their existing lineup. That wasn't too much of a departure. from their existing lineup. So I think the efficiency is going to be a challenge. It appears like maybe the range is going to come out okay, better than the e-tron, better than maybe on par with the Jaguar I-Pace. I'll just adjust my legs here. But I wasn't quite impressed with the interior. The interior, I don't know, I guess Mercedes in general, there's too much going on. It's way too busy. Maybe it works for some people, but it definitely does not work for me. Yeah, so the battery and powertrain investor day, he did update that, and he said it's going to be next year, I think. Hopefully I'm not sharing some like off the record information, because I've had several conversations. But yeah, it's going to be next year, beginning of next year. Can you interview Mr. Goodenough? Yeah, probably. Does he do interviews? I think he's in Austin, right? Dude, I'll be in Austin for the Fully Charged thing. Maybe I can score something. I need to work on that. Thanks for the prompt. I love the idea. Your Q4 delivery estimates. Dom, this is definitely not something that I follow as closely as some other people. But if I was going to take a wild guess, somewhere between 100,000 and 105,000 cars delivered. Let's see here. Is the Model Y too safe, boring now? We have Plaid, Roadster, Cybertruck. You know, I think it's exactly what it needs to be. For the price point, I think it's exactly what it needs to be. It doesn't need to be the best of the best. It doesn't need to be avant-garde or, as brash as the Cybertruck. I think for the price point, it's going to take care of what people are looking for, which is an affordable, fully capable electric vehicle. Okay. Exoskeleton semi-truck. Yeah, that would be. I'm kind of wondering after they came out with the truck, the pickup truck. I'm kind of wondering why they didn't do the same thing for the semi-truck. It's wild and crazy. In reality, that's probably the best place to introduce the exoskeleton, because companies, they just care about the dollars and cents. They don't care about what it looks like. It just needs to be capable, and it needs to be cost effective. And so I'm quite surprised that they didn't come out with a semi-truck that follows similar suit to the pickup truck. Do you think the Model Y might have some new Maxwell tech? This is a really, really difficult question. This has come up a few times. I don't know. So when I look at it from different angles, you've got a price point of a vehicle that is, $40,000 to $50,000. Let's say there's going to be higher priced variants, but I don't know, for that price point and for the tech being so new, I have my doubts about them putting Maxwell tech in it. We'll see. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm a little bit torn on that, but if I were to go with my gut, I would say that they would introduce the Maxwell technology to their more expensive vehicles first. S and X. I'm still counting on some refreshes of the S and X that will push certainly the Model S range above 400 miles. If Tesla's going to produce a 500-mile pickup truck, you better believe that they better have a Model S and X that are over 400 miles. When Tesla announced the Model Y would not have gull-wing doors, the stock responded favorably. Yeah. I mean, the Falcon wing doors are just completely unnecessary, in my opinion, at least. I know some people like them. Yeah, more gigawatt hours in Nevada seems to point towards DBE to save space and yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. What's the amber liquid you are trading? This is a Negroni. What in 2020 EV world are you most excited about? Let me think about that for a second. in terms of new, like electric vehicles from a new company, Rivian, I'm kind of excited about the Mach-E, actually. I wouldn't buy it, but I'm excited about what it means to the auto industry, especially to the American auto industry. It's a big risk for Ford to take, to number one, call it a Mustang. I was just reading some comments today from an article on Facebook. Actually, it was a Ford ad about the Mach-E, and you had a lot of like baby boomers who were like, "Don't touch my Mustang, don't touch my Mustang, bro." They're tainting the Mustang brand. It's an SUV. Why are you putting the Mustang brand on it? But I'm actually really excited about it. I think it could be exactly what Ford needs to sort of pull in the younger buyer, that new generation of performance vehicle lovers or sports vehicle lovers. Why can't an SUV have performance specs? And it certainly does. In fact, it's going to be more capable than most Mustangs on the road. So Rivian, I really like, for myself, I like the R1S, the SUV. It seems like most people are really interested in the truck, though. Did you do a breakdown of solar glass version 3 versus normal expensive? No, no. I haven't really. Have they put the pricing out for the solar roof stuff? I don't think that they have they? I think there's a lot. Hey, Michael, I think that there's a lot to still learn about it. Yeah, Happy New Year's, Michael. Thoughts on Tesla refresh S and X in 2020? Yes, I think it's coming. Think about, so I mean, like Gally and I have had 2 or 3 conversations about whether they're coming out with an S and an X. I think they're downplaying it. I think the sales of the S and the X right now should be enough to tell Tesla that they need to refresh. They need to refresh it. They need something new. Especially after after seeing the interior of the Cybertruck. You got that 17-inch horizontal screen. Why wouldn't they put that in the S and the X? Yeah, silence the boomers with a drag race. Totally. Will we see, so this is back to Michael's question, will we see new battery tech architecture and landscape screen? I gotta believe that it will have the 2170 cells. It will be the 250 kilowatt charge rate, have the new HVAC, have the new screen. Will they change the exterior? That's the question. Will they make it, or will they just change the interior and then the powertrain? That's what I want to know. All right. Do you think that Tesla will ever provide consumer wind turbines? I don't know. It seems like maybe a little bit outside of their scope at the moment. I've never heard Elon or Tesla talk about wind. Can Tesla keep the hackers off of their IP? I hope so, especially now being in China. You know what? Here's the good thing, Jamal, about innovative companies. People can steal technology. They can copy technology. But innovative companies always seem to be sort of one step ahead. So, we see what, for example, Tesla has right now on the market for sale, but they're already 1-2 iterations of their products ahead right now. Doesn't mean that they're ready for the market, but I think that's a good thing about innovative companies. Is there an interview with Franz in the works? You would be perfect. I feel the same way. I feel the same way as I do about Franz, as I do about Elon, and any other executives. it would be cool. It would be super cool. I guess I shouldn't have so much of an aversion to it, but I don't know. I spend very little time thinking about it. The first serious thought that I had about interviewing an executive at Tesla was actually Drew Baglino. I'm just super curious, or JB. I'm just super curious about that. Elon would be cool. Franz, the interview that Ryan from Ride the Lightning did was interesting, but it wasn't terribly insightful. And a lot of that is because I just don't think that he feels comfortable saying things that he shouldn't. And so I could tell that he was just really careful about the words that he was saying. I have a lot of admiration for Franz. In fact, I met him at the Boring Company event about a year ago. I really, really like him a lot. And it would be fun. It would be fun. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no to Elon, but I guess my hesitation about reaching out to some of these executives is there's got to be a high volume of people wanting to do the same. And I probably could maybe work the back channels and get something. Who knows? Okay, 2020, we'll see. I'm talking myself into it. The more that I'm talking about it right now, I'm talking myself into it. Yeah, Drew or JB would be dope. So one last thought. So if I was going to interview an executive and I wanted to get some new information, I'd need to go Elon, right? Because you talk with any of the other executives, they're going to always defer to Elon. They're not going to want to say too much or, let the cat out of the bag, as Elon said earlier this year. I think I'd want to go Elon because then I'd really feel comfortable with sort of pressing him on getting some new information. Thoughts on the latest FSD preview? How close are we? Man, the software definitely seems to be improving. Oh, we have 51 minutes. Software definitely seems to be improving, so that's really great. Overall, big picture, I'm optimistic about where it's headed. I don't think the timeline is as good. Maybe. I mean, the one thing that Tesla has going for them is there's hundreds of thousands of cars each quarter. Hundreds of thousands of new cars each quarter that are going on the road and very likely collecting all of this data. And you've just got to believe that that's got to accelerate the time in which they're iterating and improving on the software. So could this be ready for full autonomy in a year from now? Possibly, but I'm just so gun shy with taking Elon Musk at his word for full self-driving and autonomy because he's missed the deadlines and marks so often. So I hope that Tesla proves me wrong, and I hope that Elon begins to underpromise and overdeliver. The Model Y will really be the first true test of that, right? They said it was going to start production at the end of next year. Now they've moved it up to summertime. All indicators point towards maybe something sooner. What's your day job? Mark, my day job is residential real estate in Denver. I personally would like to hear from Andre Karpathy about FSD. Yeah, that would be an interesting one too. I like sort of the left field ideas, right? Everyone wants to hear from Elon Musk, and that's cool. There's a lot of really good insight from him. But in terms of depth of knowledge for particular pieces of Tesla, I'm really curious about those even more. And that's not to discredit Elon at all. He knows a lot about a lot of things, and it's always quite impressive. But I'm just really curious to really dive deep into some of these executives that are specialists. What do you think of the 2020 press releases Elon has planned? I think the battery and powertrain investor day is going to be very substantial. The next one, I mean, Model Y is going to be a big deal, but it won't be splashy. I think Model S and X, I think if they come out with something new, which is, I think that they will. I don't have any inside knowledge, but I think that there's a place for the Model S and X. And I think that they need to. I think that they need to continue to produce those vehicles. I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the compliment there. I try and be level-headed. I think that's like my entire life approach. Even in, you know, when I'm working in real estate, even in my personal life, I try and be pretty level-headed. I try not to be too extreme. Every once in a while, I get a little too excited about Tesla, and I gotta like rein it back in. I got a little excited about the e-tron when I did that review. People criticized me about my enthusiasm, but yeah, I try and be relatively level-headed. How can Tesla overcome snow accumulation on cameras? I don't know. This is something that I think is. I'm curious to see how they. You gotta believe that they're already thinking about this. Do you think? Yeah, you know, the battery day, will it bring out some innovation in supercapacitors? It might be too soon. It might be too soon. Maybe not. I don't know. There's some people who say that supercapacitors won't work for regenerative braking or acceleration. So, you know, that's interesting. I'd love to learn a little bit more. You know, the piece that I think Elon is particularly interested in is advancing the supercapacitor tech enough so that it replaces the actual lithium batteries. So it's energy dense enough to replace lithium-ion batteries. I think there are some heaters on the cameras already, but you know, I don't know how quickly they would melt, or if they can turn up the heat on that quick enough to melt it if it's blocking. Is Tesla's battery chemistry or battery management more important to their range advantage? I think it's a fantastic question. I think so. From what I understand, battery chemistry is just a part of it, and we're talking maybe 5% better than competition in terms of energy density. I think their electric motors that they also develop in-house are an important component to that, and that's something else that they do really well. The density of their magnetic materials, it's just some combination of metals that make up the permanent magnet motors in the Model 3 are more powerful and lighter than competition. So I think that the electric motors are part of that. You know, battery management is probably another component to that. Battery management system in the battery pack, and how well it handles, how efficiently it handles things and distributes the power. I think that's another part of it. So I think it's probably threefold. Sorry, the questions are coming in pretty quickly now. So if you've asked something like in the beginning while I was going through my videos, just put it in the comments again, and I'll try and address things. We're at an hour here, but as long as people are on and asking questions, I'll stay on. It's 9 o'clock my time. I'm good for another hour if you are. What are your thoughts on Tesla rental program for solar? You know, Chris, I don't really know enough about it to talk intelligently about it. Hallback, yeah, the Hallback stack magnets, yeah, super interesting. Yeah, it sounds like you know a little bit about it. I care more about the long term. Where do you see Tesla in 10 or 20 years? Damn, so much could happen in 5 years, let alone 10 years. If they can execute on some of their deliverables, this will be a massive company. And I think that they could very well be, it's like dark when I lean back. Pull some of these lights up. I think that they could very well be, very easily be $1 trillion company. And at some point, it wouldn't surprise me if Tesla and SpaceX become one company. I mean, you can tell that all of this technology is sort of working towards Mars. Technology that can be used on Mars. Thoughts on NEO? I don't know enough about them. I hear a lot about them. You know, I guess I haven't paid enough attention to them because it's a Chinese company for the Chinese market. I think it's interesting, and maybe I should dive deep into it. You know what I would love to do is do an on-site visit, like a field trip to China, to learn about NEO. That I think would make a big difference. When do you think FSD will go up again in price, and by how much? It seems to be that it's following feature sets, right? So when they introduce features to consumers, they seem to find it appropriate to increase price. So I don't know, when's the next full set of feet, like off-highway driving? That's got to be the next, like when they address that, that's got to be the next time they increase the pricing. That's what I'm going to go with, at least. Hypermile Model 3. Love the Model 3 Hypermile. Would like to know if you will hypermile the Cybertruck and live stream it. That would be bananas. Cybertruck or Model 3. You know, the idea of hypermiling again sounds cool, but the time commitment that it took when we did the Model 3 was pretty intense. I would definitely do some things different next time around. But it would be cool. And in order to do it, and I need to do it right, we need to do it right. And so we've sort of, Eric and I have haphazardly talked about some things that we would do different. We do it in a different area so that we wouldn't need to stop, so that we could just sort of keep going. We wouldn't need to slow down. We just set it at a constant speed, and then also be close to a supercharger as well. So it limits the places that we can do that. But there are some areas that we've discussed so far. Do you think Bollinger will make it? I'm much less optimistic about Bollinger after the price point. I'm concerned about the price point. You know, Tesla sold $100,000+ Roadster back in the day, but there wasn't any competition really. So can Bollinger make it in an EV market that is growing fast, where competition is expanding, at price points far lower than $125,000? This is a tough one. This is a really, really tough one. What I don't know is how many vehicles do they need to produce to make this program profitable? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm a little bit concerned. I want to see them win. You know, I know that Robert Bollinger has invested a ton of his personal wealth into the company. So I want to see him succeed, because I just think that it would be a really cool success story if they can make that happen. What I would love to see, and I don't think that they're thinking about this, I asked them this back when I was in LA, but what I would love to see is them work down to a lower price point, a smaller vehicle, a lower price point. Yeah, I mean, Bollinger is in a similar boat to Porsche. Of course, Porsche has a far larger brand. Which do you think looks better in person, the 3 or the Y? When do you think? When do you think they will start deliveries? Why don't you like the Cybertruck? Well, lots of questions here. Um, One would think it would be extremely useful in Colorado. I'm not a truck guy in general. I just, you know, the times that I would need to haul a bunch of stuff is just few and far between. So, well, you know, the ride height is great, but I can get that with an SUV, which is why I'm interested in the Model Y. I don't like the Model X because of the Falcon Wing doors, and I know a little bit too much about the door issues. Okay, so back to your questions. Which looks better in person, the 3 or the Y? I think it comes down to a personal preference. My personal preference would be the Y. I like that it sits higher. I like that it's a hatch. There's definitely some huge benefits to a hatch. I've played around with the Model 3 trunk, and it's just not as impressive. Deliveries for the Y, Q2. Going with Q2. Let's circle back around and see how wrong or right I am. What are the changes? Tesla will use the Cybertruck's ultra hard, cold rolled stainless steel on passenger. You know, I think it would be fun to do a sort of cyber line, a Cyber S, X, and 3, and Y. It would be fun. And there's a lot of it that makes sense. You know, Tesla can make the pickup truck a success in terms of demand and prove that people like it. I can't imagine why Tesla wouldn't roll that over. Makes a lot of sense. Are you playing an interview with Jack Rickard? Rickard? Which one is it? No, I'm not. He's a really interesting guy. He appears to know a lot, but he doesn't appear, and I could be totally wrong, he doesn't appear to be that inclusive of the EV community. All right. What's your thoughts on Gigafactory 1? All these new factories, yet Giga 1 is only a third of the intended size. I thought about that too, Adam. I think that they've got plans for that. The other interesting thing is that it's not even fully built out. So I think that I could see them producing vehicles at Giga 1. I wonder if there's some internal politics to sort out with that. You've got production, you've got talent in production in Fremont, in California, in terms of producing vehicles. But is the talent pool for vehicle production yeah, so I don't know if the talent pool in Reno, Nevada is that strong. They're going to have to sort of convince people to move out there. Yeah, Jamal. Jack, I would sum up as a very thorny person. Difficult to get along with. That's my impression. Again, I could be completely wrong. I hope he's just a fully, like a truly nice, down-to-earth type of guy. Are you driving a fully charged? I am very likely driving. I think I could change, but I won't be driving through Oklahoma. Sorry, Aaron. Will Model Y have a new type of battery? I think someone asked that earlier. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. For the price point, I'm going to say that new battery technology will come out in these higher priced vehicles first. Yeah. Thanks, Tamara, on the semi-truck compliment. Yeah, I'm excited to see them start producing that one in 2020 in limited volume. Should be really interesting. I'm sure these companies who put in pre-orders are very excited to see it as well. Um, any chance Tesla will hire an additional executive? Man, I don't know. I mean, I've often long thought that they need a COO, similar to Gwen Shotwell. You know, some people have said that Jerome Guillen is that guy. He's been around forever. He appears to have operational prowess. He doesn't need the limelight like Elon does. He might be a really good fit. Do you think they have sandbagged cyber production date? Yeah, I do, Brett. I wouldn't be at least I wouldn't be surprised if they're sandbagging it. Not only production timeline, but range. You know how they in the presentation they did like 500 plus miles. So I think they're sandbagging the range too. Do you think Tesla will meet their 360,000 delivery? I do, yeah. I do. Based on a couple of things. There's a couple of things that tell me that they're doing quite well this quarter. Number one is the delivery time frame that they show on their website. It seems to sort of fluctuate, and when they get really backed up, I think it's at like 7 or 8 weeks right now. Second thing is, I was on site in Denver, assisting with delivering vehicles here at the local Tesla store, and based on what I saw and what was shared with me off record, I think they're going to do really, really well. How long will I keep my S? Why? Are you interested in buying it? It's almost a 205,000 mile Model S. I'm thinking about a Model Y in 2020. I don't think Tesla will split up. No, I think that seems to be sort of counterintuitive to what Elon likes to do. He likes to bring things together. Yeah, Giga 2, Robert. Giga 2, I think is gonna come into the limelight in 2020. In fact, Elon said earlier this year that 2019 was the year of solar for Tesla. We haven't seen that yet. At least not that I can see. For how many miles do you think the Model 3 will remain fun to drive without major issues? I don't know. I mean, it appears like they've engineered it pretty well. Certainly the motors. What year is my S? It's a 2013. Model Y was revealed with like 230 miles. I think yeah, they did introduce a lower one. You're right. You're right about that. They're not offering that one on the website, but yeah, I do think that they're offering sort of a standard range version. Alexandre, no, I haven't scheduled an interview with Sandy for after he picks apart the Model Y. It'll happen. It'll happen. Unless something unexpected takes place, it'll happen. I'm really curious, of course, to hear his thoughts. I know a lot of others are, and I think the relationship, the friendship there is established. So I think I'd be able to send him an email and say, hey, I'd like to come up. When do you want to do it? Yeah, Jack Rickert does know a lot. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, I will definitely give him that. When will the Department of Defense look into EVs? I think they already are, actually. I've had a couple of conversations with people from the military, and they're already researching them. They're already testing them. Do you think Tesla will surprise everyone and increase the Model Y range? Yes, I do. I think the Model Y range will have better range than what they've said. In fact, if you remember, I think it was towards the end of the presentation, he said something to the effect of, we might be able to improve on the range. Yeah, the Bluetooth thing I thought was really interesting. I'd never thought about that, but I guess it makes sense, right? It's low energy usage. It seems to make sense. Why wouldn't you try and remove a lot of those wires by transmitting things wirelessly? Saves on the cost of production. Less to figure out what's broken if it's from point to point. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Thanks for bringing that up. I do remember him saying that, and in my head as he was talking, I'm like, that's a really good idea. Do you know when Giga 1 is slated to be 100% done? No one. I mean, I think that they planned on it being done in by 2020, but they seem to have figured out how to do more with less. Will Cybertruck have a snowplow? I'm sure you could find a way to retrofit it. They probably won't sell something like that. Should Tesla work on over-the-air charging capability and also providing space-based powered? Yeah, I mean, I think that like wireless charging for a car, I don't know if the technology is there. I don't know enough about it. From what I've heard, secondhand, I don't think that the charge rate for wireless charging for cars is that fast. Gentrifying Mordor. There's a part of me that thinks that they haven't finished it because they're not ready to announce that they're going to start producing cars there. If you look at the Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai and what they plan on with Giga 4 in Berlin, they're doing the whole thing, the whole process in one place. So why are they not doing that at Giga 1 right now? It seems a bit odd, doesn't it? I would love to see a higher processing MCU. I'd love to see that be more powerful. I think that would be super cool. Yeah, that's an interesting comment about the talent pool. Semi at Giga 1, yeah. Yeah, Christopher, the sort of second life after a 1,000,000-mile battery. I mean, I think Tesla has clearly stated they're interested in recycling, and they do currently. Do you think New York do you think New York will get Giga 5? I mean, New York already has Giga 2 with their solar facility, solar production facility. So probably not. I mean, maybe they add on to Giga 2. Giga 3 does not have a hiring problem. I mean, I think that, yeah, in terms of the population size of the country and the talent pool, I think that they're going to be fine. Got to address the ongoing issues that has improved, need more service centers. Yeah, faster turnaround on parts, especially outside of North America. Yeah, I agree, Michael. I don't envy being in Elon's shoes. Could you imagine all these problems going on at once and trying to figure out which ones are the most important ones to have the biggest impact on the company? I'm really hoping for a snowplow. I love it. I'm starting to get tired. Let's see, how long have we been going? 80 minutes. Jeez. 80 minutes. When and where Giga 5? Australia. I'm going to go with Australia. It's sort of the next continent, right? The next major continent. They got one in North America. Actually, they have two. They're going to do one in Europe. They've got one in Asia. Australia, baby. Any thoughts on the lack of infrequent communication from Rivian? I think they're just hard at work. I mean, you know, to be quite honest, I think they're a very quiet company. I think that they want to. I think that they want to follow through with what they're planning on doing. I think they're working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I haven't talked with Rivian since May. So, and really since when I met with RJ at the beginning of the year. That was really the last substantial conversation that I had about where the company was heading. They're going to be at Fully Charged Live, so maybe we'll see something there. I'm expecting to get some news or an invite about like a media day, like a ride-along media day in their vehicles. That'll be cool. That was supposed to happen late this year, but I think it's going to be pushed to next year. Multiple China factories. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe something in India. What batteries are Rivian using? Yeah, LG Chem. At least that's what they're saying. There's a big part of me that wonders if they're going to produce their own battery, or at least do a joint venture. Yeah, MCU upgrades. I don't know. Like, I don't think Tesla's really interested in upgrading. I get the impression that they don't want to mess with that. Wasn't the last thing that Elon said was that it's not going to make that much of a difference to upgrade? What are you personally looking forward to in the EV world in 2020? Yeah, someone asked this before. Rivian. I'm really curious about what Rivian's going to come out with. And as far as new companies, and then I'm really curious about the Mach-E. I wouldn't buy it, but I'm optimistic about its impact on the market. Do you think that Rivian will join up with Tesla for battery production? Probably not.